Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 31st of October, comes to you from London. It's good to be back, having been away for a few weeks. And we look, first of all, at the dollar. We're seeing quite a lot of red on the screen this morning. Interestingly, there are things that are happening. We're seeing gas prices in the US up quite substantially, and wheat prices on the Ukraine situation having jumped to nearly 6%. So taking a look first of all at the dollar is up today. We are now sort of range trading between this 110, 115 level on the dollar index, and that's going to be interesting to see whether that develops as a sideways consolidation. Of course, we've been very bullish on the dollar all year. We were at the end of last year when we crossed this cloud on the weekly, and we've been in a strong trend ever since. This is the weekly, daily, and 60-minute charts, my long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market. I'm running today on Refinitiv Icon, but of course with Updata, you can run on multiple data services. You can just configure the data services you want on the fly. So the choice is yours as to which data services you run on. And we're compatible with Bloomberg, Trayport, lots of different systems. So really straightforward to configure into your software. Now, looking here, the dollar is looking stronger short term, just crossing the cloud there. We do still have these downside targets on the 60-minute chart. On the 1-minute chart, we will be starting to see some new upside targets. That's what happens. The very short term charts turn first when we see a change in sentiment. And looking at the euro, we see that downtrend on the euro. We're back below parity this morning. We do still have some upside targets on the 60-minute, but again, there'll be some new short-term targets, very short-term targets on the 1-minute kicking in. Looking at the Japanese yen, we're seeing at 148.50. 150 is the level where we see the Bank of Japan typically intervening in the yen. So it's quite interesting that we are seeing that sort of being a little bit of a ceiling there now, and it'll be interesting to watch. But of course, we do still have upside targets much higher. This target at 160 was given at 117. Very hard to believe at the time. We're now at 150, so that's a massive move for a currency. Sterling actually giving up about 0.5% this morning, just back from the 116 level against the dollar, sitting really, that is a sort of resistance level now. 116 and then 115 would be the break below that level, but we are just holding that short-term uptrend, having found the floor for sterling. Not enough yet to move us through on the medium-term chart. We do have upside targets here, 128, 130, and in the shorter term, 119, 118. So it does suggest that sterling has got more legs against the dollar. And against the euro, we're sitting at 116.18. That's looking pretty strong, actually, and that trend continues with good upside targets. And in our weekly report, we called that bullish for the week. Looking at Bitcoin, we're holding the $20,000 mark. Not really enough to change the trend on these medium and long-term charts, but quite interesting there. S&P 500 index was up quite sharply on Friday. The Nasdaq, of course, did have a bad week with all those results from the tech majors. We did actually recover some ground, and we've held that short-term bullish, but the fact that we've made the lower low is significant, and we do have these downside targets to watch out for. The futures today up 0.5% on the S&P and down 0.5% and down 0.2% on the Nasdaq. So tech woes are not over, and the market will constantly digest these valuations based on what we're seeing on the charts, all being in bear territory. And of course, we're putting out our monthly report on 100 different global instruments today, so that will go out tonight to clients. Looking at the FTSE future, we're up 0.33% there. The DAX in Germany slightly higher, not enough really to change the picture. We are still bearish on the medium and long-term charts with downside targets, quite a lot of downward pressure, and that is still we're seeing a little bit of a relief rally, but the fact is long-term we're bearish. Japan was up 1.5%, looking a little bit better there. The Hang Seng had a terrible week last week, sinking lower again to new lows. Really just bad, and really meeting these downside targets that were given ages ago, and they're being met. So no big surprises there. And looking at the Indian market, that's actually looking a little bit better, breaking the 60,000 mark. Not enough quite to activate this upside target, but it's the one market that is looking better than most, nudging new all-time highs. So Very few stock markets doing that. India being a real standout there. The S&P 200 ASX index in Australia also up just over 1%, so looking a little bit better there as well. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute. In terms of soft commodities, we're seeing quite big moves all over so we're seeing coffee up 2%, not enough to change that short-term trend and really falling away there. Sugar up 1%, but of course the real story this morning is wheat, up nearly 6%. On the blockade coming back potentially in the Black Sea, and we are seeing here the price jumping. We've been long-term bullish for ages, hasn't changed the picture there. Medium term, we're coming back into bullish, and there we see the jump on the 60-minute short-term chart. Corn has gone up in sympathy, up 2.4%, also just pushing to new highs, having held that long-term trend. Gold sitting at 1638, so down slightly this morning, just really struggling there. The medium and long-term trend still negative there, and silver just nudging the $19 mark as well, so still got more work to do there. US 10-year yields back above 4%, 4.06, and again we've got this really big massive upside target which we've been talking to clients about as well. It'll be an interesting week for tech. Apple actually bucked the trend last week, but we had terrible really big moves to Amazon making a new low there on Friday. We had Google also warning on ad revenues, making new low. Bad news happens in downtrends, remember. Microsoft also was down, so we're seeing that all below the cloud here. And of course, Meta was also down. Facebook really plummeting on their woes, and of course these targets have been in place for ages, so no big surprises there. Now looking at the energy mix, first of all, just having a quick look at my alerts this morning. Noticeable a new alert there on the corn chart, and that's the medium term daily chart, and that's how these are marked: medium term, short term, very short term, based on the time frame of the chart. And of course we've got our weekly report out with all of the charts for the week ahead. And then our energy daily, we were bearish on Brent crude today, for example. Big rolls on the gas markets, and we'll talk about that just now. So Brent crude is down 1.5%. We were bearish out to clients. We had these downside targets, couldn't really ignore those. That's on the 1 minute chart. We're seeing US gas just really powering ahead there, looking much stronger. Upside targets there as well. Coal, we put out our weekly report, still looking bearish while we're below 250. Emissions actually given up a little bit, hitting medium-term cloud resistance there on the price, so that's quite interesting. We do have a little bit of a relief rally target there, short-term. We need to move above that 79.30 level to activate that, but we are teetering with this 80 mark at the moment. We have got targets higher, of course, on the medium and short-term charts. Gas prices are down quite sharply this morning. We've had to roll the charts, of course, because we've got these big rolls on the day. So we've had to roll those charts to make the sense of the charts. Otherwise, you've got a big jump in your chart. So that's really quite key. And looking at German power, we're down here 4% today as well. That's still looking pretty bearish. And of course, we put out a power report at the beginning of last month. So that is something to watch. But for today, the really big thing is, will these soft commodity prices hold their moves based on what's been happening in Russia, Ukraine? That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.